Eli had always been fascinated by the stars. Even as a child on Earth, he spent nights lying on the grass, watching the sky change colors as the sun set and the first stars appeared. Now, years later, he found himself on a small, distant planet, far from his home world. The mission was simple on paper: catalog the strange plants and terrain. In reality, it was the kind of adventure he had dreamed of since he first learned to read about explorers who traveled to places no one had ever seen. The planet, called Ilithia by the charts, was nothing like Earth. Its sky was vast, stretching in shades of lavender and soft orange, and two suns hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the rolling plains. The air smelled faintly sweet, carrying hints of unknown flowers and warm minerals. Eli moved carefully, scanning the ground for anything unusual. Every plant he touched seemed alive in a way that Earth's flora was not. Some leaves pulsed slightly with light, while others hummed faintly as if they were singing in a language he could not understand. He had been walking for hours when he noticed the lake. It was not marked on his map, and the water was clear enough that he could see the riverbed shimmering beneath the surface. Light danced across the ripples, creating patterns that seemed almost deliberate, almost like a message waiting to be read. Eli knelt at the edge, dipping a gloved hand into the water. It was cool, smooth, and carried an odd energy that made the hair on his arms stand up. He pulled back, staring at the reflection of the twin suns above, feeling both awe and a strange sense of calm. That was when he noticed movement across the water. At first, he thought it might be some animal or bird native to the planet, but the form that emerged was not anything he had expected. Standing on the far side of the lake was a girl. She was small, not much taller than a child on Earth, but there was a grace about her that made her presence feel important. Her skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight, almost like liquid light flowing beneath her surface. Her hair floated gently around her head, and her eyes were wide, bright, and deep, holding a knowledge that seemed impossible for someone so young. Eli froze, unsure what to do. The girl stepped closer to the water, her movements silent and delicate. She raised a hand in greeting, and he found himself mirroring the gesture, though his heart raced with uncertainty. "You shouldn't be here," the girl said, her voice soft, melodic, yet carrying a weight that seemed to echo in the space around him. "Not yet." Eli's brow furrowed. I didn't mean to intrude. I'm just exploring." She shook her head slowly, a look of both concern and sadness in her eyes. "No. It's not about intruding. It's about seeing. Some things are not meant to be seen too soon." "Seeing what?" he asked, curiosity overcoming caution. Humans had a drive to know, to understand, that sometimes overruled fear. She paused, her gaze lifting slightly toward the sky. "Do not look up," she warned. "Not yet." Eli glanced at her, then at the sky. The twin suns hung low, the smaller one casting a reddish glow behind the larger golden one. The air above seemed to shimmer, like heat waves rising from sand, though the temperature was cool. His human instinct to obey warred with his curiosity. There was something about her tone that demanded respect, yet every fiber of his being wanted to see what she was hiding. "I'm sorry," he said, almost without thinking. "I have to know." Lyra's eyes widened, and she stepped closer to him. "It is not dangerous." "Not exactly. But once you see, you cannot unsee. Some truths weigh more than hearts can carry. Are you ready for that?" Eli nodded, though his pulse quickened. "I think I am." The girl looked at him for a long moment, then slowly raised her hand toward the sky. "Then you must understand. What you are about to see will change everything you believe about the universe. Humans are different. You see more, feel more, imagine more, but sometimes more is too much." Despite her warning, Eli's eyes were drawn upward. He tilted his head, his gaze cutting across the twin suns and into the shimmer above. At first, he saw nothing unusual, just the vast, empty sky. Then, gradually, the air itself seemed to ripple, like a pond disturbed by an invisible stone. Lines of light formed, glowing faintly, weaving across the sky like threads in a vast, unseen tapestry. Eli's breath caught in his throat. He blinked rapidly, unsure if his eyes were playing tricks on him. The lines moved, bending and stretching as though alive, forming patterns that seemed purposeful, deliberate, almost intelligent. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a sensation that was both thrilling and overwhelming. "You see it," Lyra said softly, almost to herself. "I told you. I do," Eli whispered, unable to look away. "What is it?" "It is the web," she explained. "The threads that connect worlds, lives, hearts, and thoughts. Most species cannot see it. Most cannot even feel it. But humans can. That is why you were warned." Eli sank to the ground, staring at the glowing threads. He felt as if he could reach out and touch them, as if each line carried stories, histories, and possibilities beyond comprehension. He could see faint shapes within the threads. Distant planets, beings of light, cities that seemed to exist simultaneously in many places at once. Lyra sat beside him, her small hand resting lightly on his arm. "It is beautiful, isn't it?" she asked. "It's overwhelming," he admitted. "I never imagined anything like this." "It's alive. It is alive," she said. "Everything is alive. The universe itself is conscious, in ways you, humans, are just beginning to understand. You have the gift to sense it, but also the responsibility to respect it." Eli looked at her, awed. "Why me?" she smiled faintly. "Not just you. Humans. Your species can see beyond the ordinary, beyond the boundaries that others cannot cross. That is why some beings fear you, and some hope for you. You can weave, repair, and strengthen the connections others cannot." He struggled to process her words. On Earth, humans were often confined by what they could touch, measure, or calculate. Here, on this distant planet, he felt as if he were standing at the edge of everything he had ever imagined. Lyra's voice drew him back. "Do not be afraid. Seeing is not the danger. Forgetting to use what you see is." "What do you mean?" he asked. "Some who see the web become lost in it," she explained. "They focus only on the wonders, forgetting their own world, their own hearts. You must remember where you come from, or it will overwhelm you. Humans are the only species capable of balancing both, seeing the vastness and remaining grounded." Eli nodded slowly, feeling both fear and excitement. He could feel a connection forming, not only to the web above, but to her, to the planet, to the entire universe in ways he could not explain. It was as if the sky had reached out and whispered directly to him, and he understood that this moment was not an accident. Lyra stood, brushing her shimmering hair from her shoulders. "I must show you more," she said. "But not yet. First, you need to rest and open your heart. Tomorrow, the web will reveal more than just light. It will reveal potential. Yours, and humanity's." Eli followed her to a small clearing nearby, where bioluminescent plants glowed softly in the twilight. Lyra gestured to a low, smooth rock, inviting him to sit. "Rest," she said. "Feel the threads beneath your skin. They are waiting." Eli lay back, staring up at the slowly darkening sky. The twin suns dipped lower, and the threads glimmered faintly even in the fading light. He could feel them, almost like tiny pulses against his skin, as if the universe itself was breathing around him. Sleep came slowly, filled with visions of distant planets, strange creatures, and ideas that sparkled like jewels in his mind. When he awoke, the sky had changed. The suns were gone, replaced by a blanket of stars stretching endlessly. The threads of light were still faintly visible, weaving a delicate, intricate web. Eli sat up, heart pounding with anticipation. Lyra was already awake, her eyes reflecting the stars above. "Are you ready?" she asked. Eli nodded, more certain than ever that he was. "I think I am." Lyra smiled. a soft, glowing smile that seemed to light the clearing. Good. Then tomorrow, you will see what humans were meant to see. But remember, never forget where you came from, and always respect the web. Curiosity is your gift, but wisdom must guide it. Eli took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words and the wonder of the universe pressing against his heart. He knew his life had already changed, and that the adventure he had always dreamed of was only beginning. The web was alive, and he was part of it. He did not yet understand what he would see or what he would feel, but he knew one thing for certain. Humans were extraordinary, and the universe had noticed. Eli woke before dawn, the soft glow of the planet's twin moons spilling through the trees. Even in the dim light, he could see the faint threads of energy above the horizon, stretching across the sky like the veins of a living being. His heart raced with anticipation. Last night had been unforgettable, but Lyra had promised more, and he felt the weight of that promise deep in his chest. Lyra was already awake when he stepped into the clearing. Her eyes shimmered in the moonlight, and her small, glowing hands hovered above the ground, sensing the threads in ways he could not yet understand. "It is time," she said softly. "Are you ready to see?" Eli swallowed hard. "I think so. I want to understand. I want to see everything." She nodded, a smile flickering across her luminous face. "Good. Then hold my hand." When Eli took her hand, warmth spread from their touch, spreading through his entire body. He felt the threads more clearly now, pulsing faintly beneath his skin, as if they were alive and aware of him. Then Lyra raised her other hand, and the threads above began to twist and shimmer, forming shapes he could almost recognize. "You will need to focus," she said. "Do not just look with your eyes. Feel with your heart. Let your mind open to what is already there." Eli closed his eyes, inhaling the soft, sweet scent of Alithia's air. The threads above seemed to hum faintly, a sound he could feel more than hear. Slowly, images began to form in his mind. At first, they were small, distant planets spinning gently, their surfaces dotted with lights and rivers. Then the images grew more complex. Cities floated in the sky, bridges of light connected worlds, and beings of strange shapes moved along the threads as if traveling invisible pathways. He gasped, overwhelmed by the vastness. It's incredible. I can see everything." Lyra's voice was calm, grounding him. "Yes. Humans can see beyond the ordinary. That is your gift. Others cannot." Eli's vision deepened. He could sense emotions as colors, thoughts as streams of light flowing along the threads. He saw beings reaching out to one another, not with words or touch, but with feelings and ideas. Some threads were bright and strong, glowing with harmony. Others were dim, frayed, struggling to remain connected. "What's happening?" he whispered, amazed and slightly afraid. "Some threads are fading," Lyra explained. "Those are the connections that are weakening. Your species, humans, you have the ability to strengthen them. You are unique because you can imagine, feel, and act in ways others cannot. That is why the universe allows you to see this." Eli felt both pride and humility. Humans had always thought of themselves as small in the vastness of space. And yet here, in the presence of the web of life itself, he understood that his species held a special place, a potential that no technology or weapon could grant. The vision shifted. He saw humans traveling alongside other species, exchanging ideas, music, stories, and inventions. There were no battles, no conflicts, only collaboration and curiosity. Aliens of many forms leaned close to humans, listening to their songs, studying their art, and learning from their emotions. Each human interaction strengthened the threads, creating bridges between worlds that had nearly been lost. Lyra squeezed his hand. "Humans are builders. You connect not by force, but by thought, by imagination, by empathy. That is your power. That is why you can repair the threads that others cannot." Eli wanted to ask questions, but words seemed inadequate. How could he describe what he was seeing to anyone who had not been chosen to perceive it? Instead, he focused on feeling the threads, tracing the glowing lines with his mind, imagining their stories. Each thread told a tale of hope, discovery, and collaboration. Some threads shimmered with ancient knowledge, while others glowed with the potential of futures not yet realized. Hours passed in silence, though it felt like moments. Eli's mind expanded as he allowed himself to be fully immersed. He realized that this was not just a vision, it was a lesson. The universe was alive, and humans had a role not as conquerors, but as connectors. "Can anyone learn this?" he asked finally, his voice trembling. Lyra shook her head. "No, only those who are ready. And humans, your kind is rare. You see the web, you feel the threads, and you imagine beyond limits. That is why you were warned. To see this without understanding would be dangerous. But you understand. That is what makes you different." Eli took a deep breath, absorbing her words. "So, we can help?" "Yes," she said simply. "But not yet. First, you must learn to feel the threads, to respect them, and to use your imagination wisely. Then, one day, you will help more than one planet, one galaxy, maybe even the entire web." The vision changed again. Eli saw humans working alongside aliens, teaching them not how to fight or control, but how to imagine and connect. Music floated across the threads, and art traveled from world to world. Ideas sparked, growing into inventions and discoveries that none of the species could have made alone. It was as if human creativity ignited possibilities, strengthening the fragile connections between worlds. Eli felt a surge of hope. Humans were often underestimated, even by themselves. On Earth, humans had struggled with greed, fear, and misunderstanding. But here he saw what they could become when curiosity and kindness guided them. They were not weak, they were rare and powerful in a way no one had ever imagined. Lyra led him to a small plateau overlooking the lake, where the threads seemed brightest. "Now, you will try something," she said. "Reach out with your mind. Imagine a thought, a feeling, a story, and send it along the threads. Do not force it. Let it flow naturally." Eli hesitated, unsure where to start. Then he thought of Earth, of his family, his friends, the music and stories he loved. He focused on a single memory. Lying on the grass as a child, watching the stars, imagining the worlds beyond. Slowly, he projected it along the threads, letting the warmth of the memory travel outward. To his amazement, the thread pulsed in response. Light flowed along its path, brightening and growing. He could sense other beings feeling his memory. Not with words, but with understanding. They smiled, or danced, or sang in ways he could feel, rather than hear. Eli's heart swelled. The connection was real. His imagination, his memory, had touched others across the stars. Lyra clapped her hands softly, laughing with delight. "See? You are already beginning to understand. Humans do not just travel physically, they travel emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That is why your kind is needed." Eli felt both awe and responsibility. He was a single human on a single planet, yet here he could reach across light years and touch lives. He realized that curiosity, kindness, and creativity were more powerful than any machine or technology. These were the tools humans had always carried, but now he understood their true purpose. Days passed as Eli practiced under Lyra's guidance. He learned to send music, colors, and images across the threads, and to feel the responses of other beings. Some were shy, some cautious, but all responded in their own ways. Each interaction strengthened his confidence and his connection to the web. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Lyra spoke quietly. "You have done well, Eli. But tomorrow, I will show you something more. A thread that is fading. A place where the connection is nearly lost. You will see the importance of your gift." Eli felt a shiver of anticipation. He had seen the beauty of the web, but he knew there were also threads that needed repair. The thought of helping entire worlds, of being part of something so vast and important, filled him with purpose. "Will it be dangerous?" he asked. "Not if you remember what you have learned," Lyra said. "Respect, focus, and imagination. That is all you need." Humans were not meant to fight the web, they were meant to heal it, to strengthen it with creativity and understanding. "That is your gift," Eli nodded, feeling a sense of calm determination. He had always wondered what humans were capable of. Now he knew. The web had chosen him, and through him, it could reach others. As he lay under the stars that night, Eli thought about Earth and the people he would someday inspire. He thought about the countless possibilities, the stories yet to be told, the music yet to be shared, and he smiled, realizing that the adventure he had always dreamed of was far greater than he had ever imagined. It was not about traveling alone. It was about connecting, imagining, and healing the universe itself. He closed his eyes, letting the threads hum beneath his skin, feeling the gentle pulse of the web. For the first time in his life, he understood something that no book, no lecture, and no star chart could ever teach. Humans were extraordinary, not because of strength, speed, or technology, but because of the imagination, empathy, and curiosity that flowed through their hearts. And tomorrow, he would take the first step toward proving it. The next morning, Eli awoke to the soft, golden light of Elithia's twin suns. The sky shimmered faintly with the threads he had begun to sense yesterday. A network of glowing lines that stretched endlessly in every direction. He could feel the subtle vibrations beneath his skin, as though the universe itself was humming in welcome. Today, Lyra had promised, he would see the fragile thread that was almost lost. Eli followed her through the softly glowing forest. The trees here pulsed gently with color, responding to their presence. Each step they took felt intentional, as though the planet itself guided them toward something important. Eli's mind buzzed with curiosity, and he kept glancing upward, imagining the threads above connecting countless lives across the universe. They arrived at a small clearing where the ground was cracked and dry. The air shimmered strangely, and the threads above flickered dimly, like fading candlelight. Eli knelt down, instinctively feeling for the pulse of the web beneath the soil. The sensation was faint, almost imperceptible, but he could feel it tugging gently at the edges of his awareness. "This is it," Lyra said, her voice soft but steady. "A thread that is nearly gone. It connects a world far from here. If it fades completely, the beings there will lose their ability to connect with others, and the potential for discovery and collaboration will vanish. Humans can help, but it requires care and imagination." Eli nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He had been practicing sending music, images, and emotions across the threads, but this was the first time he would try to heal a connection that was almost gone. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes, feeling the thread as it pulsed faintly beneath his awareness. He reached out with his mind, imagining warmth and light flowing along the fragile connection. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The thread flickered and wavered. As if uncertain whether to respond, Eli focused harder, remembering Lyra's guidance, respect, focus, and imagination. He imagined a melody he loved from Earth, a simple song that carried both joy and hope. Slowly, he sent it along the thread, letting it flow naturally rather than forcing it. The thread pulsed faintly in response, and Eli felt a subtle shift. A soft glow traveled along the path of the connection, spreading outward like sunlight breaking through clouds. He smiled as the thread strengthened, the dim flicker transforming into a steady, radiant line. He felt a sense of accomplishment, not from power or control, but from understanding that his imagination could touch distant worlds in meaningful ways. Lyra's eyes shone with pride. "You did it," she said. "That is the gift of humans. You do not impose. You inspire. You do not dominate. You connect. That is why the web allows you to see it and to act upon it." Eli's heart swelled with a sense of purpose. He had always wondered what humans could achieve, and now he saw it clearly. Their potential was not in technology or strength, but in creativity, empathy, and the ability to reach across vast distances to touch lives. Humans were rare, not because they were strong, but because they could imagine possibilities that others could not. For hours, Eli continued to work with Lyra, repairing threads and sending messages along them. He learned that even simple things, colors, laughter, stories could travel along the web and inspire distant beings. He sent images of Earth, the songs he remembered from childhood, and the laughter of his friends. In return, he felt responses from beings far away. Gentle warmth, bright flashes of light, and vibrations that carried meaning he could not yet put into words. By midday, they paused at the edge of a hill overlooking a valley. The threads stretched above, brighter and more intricate than ever. Eli could see the effects of his efforts. Connections that had been frayed were now strong, glowing like lifelines across the universe. He realized that humans had a unique role in maintaining balance, ensuring that creativity, understanding, and collaboration could flourish across worlds. Lyra sat beside him, her small hand resting lightly on his. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will meet others who will help you. Other species who wish to connect with humans. You must learn to listen, as well as send. Communication is not one way. The web is a conversation, not a lecture." Eli nodded, thinking about the enormous possibilities. Humans could inspire, yes, but they could also learn. He wondered what other beings had discovered through their own experiences, what knowledge and emotions they could share if humans listened carefully. That night, as the twin moons rose, Eli lay on a soft bed of glowing moss, feeling the threads beneath him. He let his mind wander, reaching out gently to distant worlds. He felt responses, subtle and varied. Colors that spoke of joy, vibrations that carried curiosity, and pulses that radiated calm. He realized that connection was not about control, but about sharing and understanding. Humans had the power to amplify these threads, not by taking, but by giving. The next day, Lyra led Eli to a small plateau where a group of beings waited. They were unlike anything Eli had imagined. One was tall and translucent, with patterns of light flowing across its body. Another resembled a tree with moving limbs and glowing leaves that communicated with pulses of light. A third had a round, floating form, its surface covered in tiny reflective crystals. "These are the travelers," Lyra said. "They are curious, and they wish to learn from humans. They understand the threads in their own ways, but your imagination can teach them something new. Remember, you are not here to dominate or instruct. You are here to share." Eli felt a wave of nervousness, but also excitement. He had never met beings so different, yet he sensed their eagerness to connect. He focused on a simple thought, a story from Earth about friendship, about children playing and sharing dreams. He sent it gently along the threads, letting the images and feelings flow naturally. The travelers responded immediately, the tall, translucent being pulsed with bright patterns of light, laughing in a way that felt musical. The tree-like creature waved its limbs, sending waves of calm and warmth through Eli's mind. The floating crystal being sparkled, releasing bursts of curiosity and wonder. Eli realized that they understood him not through words, but through shared experience and emotion. Lyra smiled. "See? Connection is not about speaking the same language. It is about sharing, understanding, imagination, and feeling. That is why humans are special. You can teach, inspire, and strengthen threads that others cannot reach." For hours, Eli practiced with the travelers, sending stories, songs, and simple memories. In return, he felt their responses, learning new ways of seeing and feeling. He realized that humans were not only connectors, they were bridges between minds, hearts, and worlds. The threads above seemed brighter now, vibrant with the combined energy of multiple species interacting through human imagination. As the sun began to set, Eli and Lyra walked back to the lake. He felt tired, but exhilarated. his mind alive with new possibilities. "I never imagined humans could do this," he admitted. "It's beyond anything I've ever dreamed of." Lyra laughed softly. "You see, Eli, the web chooses those who are ready. Humans are rare because you are capable of imagination, empathy, and curiosity in equal measure. You can see, understand, and act. That is why you were warned about looking up. You are capable of much more than most can handle. But now, you are ready to act." Eli looked at the shimmering threads above the lake, reflecting the colors of the twin suns. He felt connected, not only to Lyra and the travelers, but to the entire universe. He could feel the potential of humanity, the ability to inspire, connect, and create across distances unimaginable. The threads were fragile in places, but he knew humans could strengthen them, using their imagination as a tool to heal and connect. That night, Eli lay under the stars again, letting his mind drift along the threads. He imagined distant worlds, vibrant cities, and beings of all shapes and sizes sharing ideas, songs, and stories. He realized that humans were not meant to dominate or conquer. They were meant to connect, to bring light and understanding to the universe, and to inspire others through curiosity and creativity. Lyra sat beside him in silence, her small hand resting on his shoulder. "Tomorrow, Eli, you will begin your first real mission, to help a distant world reconnect with the web. You will see how your gift can change lives, even from far away. Remember, humans do not destroy. They imagine, they inspire, they create. That is your strength. Thanks for watching." "Things Einen." "They remember." Eli nodded, feeling both nervous and determined. He had glimpsed the extraordinary potential of humans, and now he had the chance to make a real difference. The threads pulsed softly beneath his skin, a reminder of the responsibility he carried and the opportunity that lay ahead. He closed his eyes, sending gentle pulses of thought and feeling along the threads, preparing himself for the journey. The universe was vast, and the work was just beginning. But for the first time, Eli understood that humans were not small, insignificant beings in the cosmos. They were special, rare, and capable of remarkable things, and with Lyra by his side, guiding him through the threads, he knew that nothing could limit the imagination, curiosity, and kindness that humans could offer to the universe. The web awaited, and Eli was ready. The following morning, Eli awoke before the twin suns had fully risen. Feeling a gentle energy pulsing beneath his skin, the threads of the web shimmered faintly above the horizon, and he could sense the anticipation of distant worlds reaching out. Today was the day Lyra had promised. The day he would help a planet reconnect with the web. His heart thrummed with both excitement and responsibility. Lyra met him in the clearing, her eyes reflecting the soft light of dawn. "Are you ready?" she asked. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of the moment. Eli nodded, taking a deep breath. "I am. I want to do this." "Good," she said. "Then hold my hand and focus on the thread that is fading. Feel it, don't force it. Let it respond to you, and remember to send warmth, hope, and understanding along its path." Eli closed his eyes, extending his mind toward the distant thread. It was faint, barely visible, pulsing weakly like a tired heartbeat. He felt its fragility, its desperation, and his chest ached with the need to help. Slowly, he allowed a memory to surface, one of laughter, of children playing under the sunlight on Earth. The joy of shared stories and dreams. He concentrated on that feeling, letting it flow along the fragile thread. To his relief, the thread responded. A faint glow traveled along its length, and Eli felt a subtle vibration of acknowledgement from the distant world. Encouraged, he continued, sending images of friendship, kindness, and imagination, mixing them with colors and melodies he had learned to project through the web. Lyra watched silently, her luminous eyes filled with pride. "You are doing well, Eli. Remember, Humans do not impose, they inspire. That is why your species is needed. Hours passed, but Eli remained focused, guided by Lyra's steady presence. He felt the thread growing stronger, pulsing with life, carrying his messages of hope across unimaginable distances. Slowly, responses came from the other side. Faint flashes of light, subtle vibrations, and emotions that mirrored what he had sent. Eli realized that the beings on the distant planet were beginning to understand him, not through language, but through feeling, imagination, and shared intent. He sent more memories, more colors, more sounds. He shared Earth's rivers, its mountains, and its quiet moments of reflection, along with the laughter of friends and the music that had always inspired him. The thread pulsed brighter with each transmission, spreading outward to the surrounding threads and gently weaving the distant world back into the larger web. Lyra smiled. See how the web responds to humans? You are not a conqueror. You are a healer. A connector. Your imagination strengthens what is fragile. That is your gift. Eli's heart swelled with understanding. Humans had always thought of themselves as small, ordinary, and sometimes weak. But here, in the presence of the cosmic web, he understood that their strength was quiet but profound. It was not in dominance or power, but in creativity, empathy, and the ability to imagine possibilities beyond what anyone had yet seen. By midday, the thread had grown strong enough to glow steadily, and Eli could sense the distant planet responding fully. The inhabitants, though he could not see them with physical eyes, were sending bursts of emotion and light back along the threads. They were laughing, sharing, and reaching outward, connecting with others, as Eli had helped them. The fragile line that had once threatened to vanish now shone brightly, vibrant with life and potential. Lyra stepped closer. You have done it. That thread is alive again. Your work has brought hope, imagination, and connection to a world that had almost been lost. Humans are capable of this in ways no other species can achieve. That is why the universe allows you to see it. Eli felt a wave of pride, tempered with humility. He had done something extraordinary. But he knew it was not about him alone. It was about humans as a species, the potential to create, to connect, and to inspire across distances unimaginable. As the twin suns began to set, casting long, golden shadows across the valley, Eli sat beside Lyra, watching the threads pulse with renewed energy. I never imagined humans could do this, he admitted softly. It's more than I ever dreamed. Lyra smiled. You have only begun to understand. There are countless worlds, countless threads that need your gift. Humans were chosen not for strength or speed, but for imagination and empathy. That is why the web showed itself to you, and that is why you were warned not to look up until you were ready. Eli nodded, feeling a quiet determination settle over him. He had glimpsed humanity's potential, and now he had a role in helping it flourish. He realized that the adventure of exploration was not about conquering unknown lands or discovering new species. It was about connecting, understanding, and inspiring others, wherever they might be. Over the following days, Eli continued to practice, learning more from Lyra and the travelers she introduced him to. Each being had its own way of perceiving the threads, and Eli learned to listen as much as he sent messages. Some responded with gentle colors, others with vibrations or melodies. All of them enriched his understanding, teaching him that communication was not one way, but a dance of shared creativity and intention. Through these interactions, Eli began to see the full scope of human potential. Humans could strengthen fragile connections, inspire collaboration, and share knowledge and imagination in ways no other species could. They were not leaders by force, but bridges of understanding across the vastness of space. One evening, Lyra led Eli to the edge of a cliff overlooking the shimmering threads above the lake. The network stretched endlessly, brighter than he had ever seen it. Look at this, she said softly. Every thread, every glow, every pulse represents a connection you have helped nurture. You have strengthened worlds, inspired beings, and reminded the universe of the power of imagination and empathy. Humans are rare and special for this reason. Eli felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had started this journey as a curious explorer, eager to see what lay beyond his own understanding. Now he understood that humans were extraordinary not because of physical strength or advanced technology, but because of their ability to imagine, feel, and connect. That was their true gift, a gift that could heal, inspire, and unite worlds. He turned to Lyra. "Will humans always be able to do this?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, her voice gentle, "as long as they remember who they are and use their imagination wisely. Curiosity and empathy are their greatest strengths. They can reach farther than anyone else, and touch lives in ways no one else can. That is why you were allowed to see the web. That is why you were warned." Eli smiled. "I understand now. It's not just about seeing. It's about using what we see to help others, to inspire, to create." Lyra nodded. "Exactly. And the more humans who learn this, the stronger the web becomes. One day, your species will connect not just planets, but entire galaxies, bringing understanding and creativity to places that cannot reach each other on their own." Eli's heart swelled with hope. He imagined a universe where humans and other species shared knowledge, art, music, and ideas freely across the threads. A universe without fear or conflict, where curiosity and imagination guided actions rather than greed or violence. He realized that this was not just a dream, it was a potential that humans could fulfill. As the twin moons rose, casting soft silver light across the landscape, Eli felt a profound sense of peace. The web pulsed beneath him, alive with possibility. He had seen the fragility of connections and the beauty of collaboration. He had learned that humans were not small or insignificant. They were rare and remarkable, capable of weaving life and imagination into the universe itself. Lyra sat beside him, her hand warm in his. "Do you see now, Eli? Humans were never meant to conquer. They were meant to connect, to imagine, to inspire." Eli looked at the threads above, now glowing brightly in the night. He felt connected to everything: the distant worlds, the beings who responded to his thoughts, and the potential of humanity itself. "I see," he whispered, "and I will help. I will continue, no matter how far it reaches, no matter how small it seems. Humans can make a difference. We can connect the universe." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing softly. "Then you are ready. The web is alive, Eli, and it grows stronger with each human who dares to imagine. You have taken the first step, and soon others will follow." Eli lay back, gazing up at the endless network of threads, feeling a sense of belonging and purpose deeper than anything he had known. He thought of Earth, his family, and the friends he would someday inspire with the stories and knowledge he carried. He knew that humans had a rare gift, and now he had seen its true power. The night stretched on, quiet and serene. The threads pulsed gently, weaving connections between worlds, carrying laughter, music, and ideas across unimaginable distances. Eli felt the pulse beneath his skin, a reminder that he was part of something greater than himself, a universe alive with possibility, waiting for humans to imagine, inspire, and connect. And in that moment, he understood fully. The adventure was just beginning. The universe had chosen humans not for conquest or force, but for imagination, curiosity, and empathy. He would carry that knowledge back to his world and help others see it too. Humans were extraordinary, not because of what they could take from the universe, but because of what they could give. They were capable of connecting worlds, inspiring life, and weaving a tapestry of understanding that no one else could achieve. Eli smiled, feeling the threads vibrate beneath him, carrying his hope across the cosmos. With Lyra at his side and the web alive above, he knew that humanity's place in the universe was not just to explore, but to connect, create, and inspire. The sky no longer seemed distant or frightening, it seemed full of friends, stories, and possibilities waiting to be discovered. And so, under the twin moons of Alithia, Eli closed his eyes and let the threads carry him forward, ready to weave imagination, curiosity, and hope into every corner of the universe.